This is very interesting news. A friend of mine just sent me this story, and I have to say, this is actually pretty entertaining when you think about the prospects of this. So, the NBA on NBC has announced that Michael Jordan will be a special correspondent for the NBA on NBC Sports once the NBC gets back NBA games coming this October. And I'd say this is very ironic since the NBA is back on NBC now to bring back the man who made the NBA on NBC super popular back when they last had it during the 90s. This is the guy who literally made the NBA on NBC a pop culture phenomenon during the 90s. I remember it. It was during my childhood and teenage years. So it's kind of fitting that they would bring Michael back into the fold. Granted, he's not a player now, but I'm sure he'll still have a huge impact on just the way things are covered, knowing his status as the GOAT. So this will be very, very interesting. I remember back in the day when the NBA on NBC had legends like Dr. J, Bill Walton. Granted, those guys were before my time, but it was still kind of like a legendary aura that they gave to you in different ways when they were at the studio, when they were doing the pregame shows, the halftime reports. So I kind of wonder what Michael's role in this is going to be. Is he going to be a guy that's there every now and then in the studio at halftime or the pregame show? Or is he going to be the guy who does like special correspondence pieces with players? Because I remember there were segments during the 90s where players were interviewed by like Dr. J, for instance, just a personal interview where they're sitting there talking to each other. I wonder if he's going to do that, but it's definitely interesting. I think MJ is probably doing this move simply to preserve his legacy. That's what I really think this is. Obviously, he doesn't need the money, especially after the sale of the Hornets. But I think this is him now getting ready to fight to defend his legacy, especially with what LeBron has been doing with the media the last several years against him. That's what I think this truly is. I think he's experimenting right now with media to see how far he can go with this. That's why he's doing this correspondence role right now. And then if he's really successful at this, I think he'll take it to another level. That's my theory about it. I think he probably was inspired to some degree by seeing Tom Brady on the NFL Network this season. I mean, last season for the NFL, that maybe that inspired him, to some degree, that he could do this too, since Tom Brady's regarded the GOAT in the NFL. I think that might have influenced him, but I'm actually looking forward to this, what Jordan has to say, because I think it's going to be entertaining either way. Like, if he comes across as this like old petty man who has to rub it in about his championships, his 6 rings, that's what I want to see. Like, is he gonna go all in on some of these guys and just blast them and just call them out? That's what I want to see, because MJ has like this nasty side. We saw it in the Last Dance documentaries. We've seen it in other type of interviews. We've seen it in his Hall of Fame speech, how ruthless he can be on guys. So I'm looking forward to that, to seeing like his put downs. I know that's pretty bad, but I think that's probably the most entertaining thing about MJ when you hear some of the stuff he says. I'm sure, though, he has some good insight on the game. That'll be interesting to see. MJ does have a high basketball IQ, basketball mind. So I think that'll be interesting to see what he has to say about certain players and how he assesses their talent, their weaknesses, their strengths, and how they can get better. So I think this could be very, very entertaining. Will he ever be as entertaining as Charles Barkley? No, he won't, but I think he could be entertaining his own way if he's fully who he is, and unleashed, and just give us his views on all these different players and just the way the league is. I actually look forward to that, especially the part about these rule changes. Like, we haven't had a player talk that much from the legends about the rule changes outside of Charles Barkley, I would say, and Shaq. They've really gone in on that, just how teams are not allowed to play defense like they used to back in the day. I think MJ is going to be like the stamp on that, in the sense that when he says it, people can't really dispute it. When he calls out these bullshit defensive rules, and he mentions just like how they've taken away hand checking and how it's easier to score, I think MJ is going to go nuclear on these things. And I look forward to hearing that. So this will be entertaining, I think. So, yeah, that's all I had to say.